Story 1. I wish more people listened and validated others instead of offering quick fixes. Truly helps. Story 2. The fact that our world is suffering from severe environmental damage means that if we do not take action, most of us may not survive another decade. Story 3. I wish people would care about each other. We should debate to figure out the truth instead of fighting to be right. I also wish more people cared about fresh food instead of processed food. Story 4. When I was in an extremely abusive relationship, both physically and emotionally, I wished that someone would speak up. My partner would scream at me in the street, and no one would look our way. He had friends who knew about the abuse, but they never held him accountable or asked if I was okay. At the end of it, he was moments away from choking me to death, and I felt like I deserved it. I wish people cared more about abusers and their victims. I was 20 and he was in his 30s. Age is not just a number. Story 5. Animals and their well-being, specifically insects. People should have more empathy for all living beings. Story 6. Kids in foster care. My sister is an experienced social worker who manages a group focused on children. I have heard so much over the years, and I don't know how she has lasted. The heartbreaks are continuous, and no one wants to fund foster children or those who try to help them. Story 7. Bugs have their own lives too, and it isn't fair to just squash them or hurt them, even if they are bothersome. Story 8. Truly enjoying life. It's easy to get caught up in trying to accomplish goals, meet deadlines, and figure out the next phase of your life, or even to get caught up in being lazy and procrastinating. But if you think about it, we're all just beings on a big floating rock programmed to reproduce and die. Not to say that nothing matters, but rather to recognize that life is fleeting. At the end of the day, we'll only enjoy life as much as we let ourselves. So be sure to find time to eat good food, watch your favorite shows, and put in an honest effort toward achieving your dreams before it's too late. You might not always have that opportunity. Also, hug your loved ones and cherish those moments. Story 9. The world. Many focus on how things directly affect them while missing the point that many of the things they ignore do affect them or someone they care about. Story 10. Climate change and the environment are critical issues we must address. We will face significant challenges in the coming decades if we do not take action. Story 11. People with disabilities, especially those in the middle age ranges of 18 to 64, often face challenges. Many individuals may not care if you have a disability, but if you are 25 or 45 and disabled, you may have aged out of some programs or not yet qualify for others designed for seniors aged 65 and older. I enjoyed a wealth of resources when I was under 18, but as soon as I reached that age, it felt like being thrown into the cold. It seemed as though people resented my ability to grow up and live beyond my diagnosis. While many find disabled children adorable, the perception of disabled adults is often quite different. Story 12. Less judgment. Not everyone is following a cookie-cutter lifestyle in their own way, and that's perfectly fine. Story 13. Overconsumption and waste are troubling issues. The amount of waste we generate and discard is concerning. I am guilty of it as well, but I do my best to avoid being part of the problem. Story 14. Fact-checking. Watching people believe they were magnetic after COVID vaccines was priceless. Story 15. The welfare of animals is a significant issue. They suffer from unimaginable cruelty, which contributes to the problem of food waste on an enormous scale. This situation is both senseless and inhumane. Story 16. Right to repair. It is the idea that companies selling any type of product that can be repaired should provide the same manuals, parts, and tools to everyone that they provide to first-party repair shops. This concept applies to a wide range of products, including tractors, home appliances, cell phones, and medical equipment. It is becoming a significant issue as companies assert that expensive items should receive support, including repairs, for only 2 to 3 years, exclusively from first-party repair shops. However, consumers often use these products for much longer due to their high cost. Frequently, items are discarded simply because they can no longer be repaired, and companies' restrictions on the availability of parts, tools, and repair manuals lead to more items being disposed of at a quicker pace than before. Right to repair levels the playing field between manufacturers offering first-party repairs and third-party service shops that perform appliance, car, and phone repairs, allowing them to obtain genuine parts and appropriate service manuals without resorting to workarounds. Story 17. Overall, there is a sense of humanity and basic respect for other living beings. The world is a disaster, with millionaires shooting into space while one country starves the children of another. The list goes on. It seems common decency and understanding have been suffocated by overconsumption, egoism, attention-seeking, and hatred for those who are different. Caring for others and wanting equity is considered radical. Story 18. I wish more people genuinely cared about how others are doing behind the scenes. Not just the highlight reel, but the quiet struggles, daily exhaustion, and the effort it takes to keep going sometimes. A little more compassion and check-ins could go a long way. Story 19. The environment. Yes, I said it. Who wants their children and themselves to live in a giant garbage can, drinking dirty water and breathing polluted air? Story 20. Prosecuting elite pedophile rings, addressing the ways the United States government is exploiting us, and the construction of an artificial intelligence surveillance state. When I discuss these issues, most individuals are either completely apathetic or overly influenced by propaganda, quickly defending their group and repeating the prevailing narrative, or they lack awareness of the topics I am addressing. Story 21. Supporting small restaurants and food manufacturers. Small businesses boost local economies and represent a better choice against unethical multinational corporations like Unilever and Nestle. Story 22. Climate change and wars in foreign countries, as well as those that may soon begin, concern me. I believe most people remain unaware of these issues, and to be honest, I would have preferred to remain oblivious as well. Story 23. The food we eat every day can be concerning. Working in the service industry and witnessing toddlers consume 3 sodas along with their personal meals of cheese and carbohydrates can be quite disheartening after a while. Story 24. Distracted driving puts our lives at risk on the road. You can wait to send a text. Story 25. Unionizing every career path sector is essential. Every working group should have increased political power and authority in negotiations with management. The minimum wage has not risen since I was a teenager, and now I am in my late 30s. I remember the increase from $6.50 to $7.25. Occupational Safety and Health Administration fines have not increased since the 1970s and are so low that I have seen corporate leaders set aside a budget for fines rather than implement necessary safety changes. The wealthy disdain the working class. The only way to change this dynamic is for every job field to organize. If every Walmart employee joined a union, they would have significant influence, as Walmart is the largest employer in many states. The unionized Walmart workers would become a powerful force in the country overnight. This is why the wealthy invest so much effort in convincing low-wage workers to accept anti-union propaganda. It is the only way to counter the undemocratic Supreme Court ruling that allowed corporations to flood political campaigns with money. If people do not work together collectively, conditions will worsen. Story 26. Cursive. I am part of Generation Z and attended a private school until 3rd grade, where we practiced cursive writing consistently. I still write in cursive every day. Personally, regarding the educational aspect of the debate, I am not concerned about schools no longer teaching cursive. I believe it's a matter of choice. However, I do feel sad about the possibility that the ability to read cursive could be lost with our generation. Story 27. Ageism. We are not your enemy. You will not catch anything from older individuals except perhaps some pearls of wisdom. Story 28. We are not meant to sit in an office all day or for children to sit in school all day. This lifestyle does not work for many people, yet we find ourselves trapped in this system. Story 29. They cared about using the passing lane for its intended purpose, not for cruising. People cared about their dog barking incessantly in the neighborhood. People were concerned about how much cologne they spray on themselves. I don't think they realize that an intense fog follows individuals like that, and it's not good. Story 30. It bothers me that people view the character of Jesus in the Christian Gospels as a moral visionary and promoter of compassion. He is essentially the opposite of the positive qualities attributed to him. I find this puzzling, especially considering it relates to the election of a man who boasts about sexually assaulting women as president. It seems that understanding one situation could help clarify the other, yet no one seems concerned. I don't understand why. Story 31. Their privacy regarding applications that collect extensive data is important. I dislike the claim, "Oh, I have nothing to hide." Other people may not have that privilege. For example, someone who is part of the LGBTQ community in a state that penalizes such identities depends on privacy and security. Story 32. The rise of fascism, fueled by the extremely wealthy, aims to impoverish the many while they continue to profit from our suffering. They employ class warfare, racism, and other hate rhetoric to incite conflict among us, diverting our anger away from them. Story 33. Preserving wilderness and unspoiled habitats. We've lost nearly all of the truly wild places on Earth, and it's a tragedy. Story 34. Masking is important, not just during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, but always. I am immunocompromised and recently faced a significant hospital bill due to a virus I contracted. They had to stabilize me. Additionally, I incurred costs for at-home intravenous therapy, which I believe saved my life, but my insurance did not cover it. My health will be affected for at least a month. I wish I weren't constantly paying, both financially and physically, for others' selfishness. Some days it breaks me. I have to protect myself and self-isolate to avoid accumulating more medical debt or worsening my health, as public spaces often lack awareness of contagion. My quality of life is barely sustainable. It is frustrating. Story 35. That may sound self-centered, but I am the person whom everyone approaches with their issues. These can range from technical problems, such as troubleshooting a broken computer, to financial matters like a friend who took advantage of me, or more frequently, serving as an emotional sounding board. However, when I seek help from others, I encounter excuses. There are constant, relentless excuses. I can't lend you $20 for a week, even though I owe you $200 because I have a nail appointment. I can't pick you up from the hospital because I'm too tired at 3 p.m. I can't discuss difficult topics because it feels sad, and they don't know how to respond. Story 36. Ensuring that individuals receive the appropriate health care is crucial. If one pill can help someone feel and perform their best, why prescribe 20 pills? Additionally, why not offer them the chance to explore rehabilitation and healing alternatives that are not prohibitively expensive? Story 37. People going to war for reasons like ego, power, religion, narcissism, expansion, racism, and other trivial matters is simply foolish. We should stop pointless arguments so we can focus on more important issues, such as the environment. Story 38. Other drivers on the road. People won't treat other cars with the mindset that drivers are also human beings and deserve respect. Story 39. I wish more people would care about understanding the difference between the Palestinian people and Hamas and make a clear distinction between the two when discussing the issue. They are both in Gaza, but one of these groups does not deserve pain and suffering, just not at the expense of the other. Story 40. It may sound silly, but there is a constant decline in the quality of experiences on computers and smartphones. The most egregious example is the recent replacement of Google Assistant with Gemini. You ask it to set a reminder, a task that Assistant handled flawlessly, but Gemini provides step-by-step instructions on how to access Google Calendar and set the reminder yourself. How did this get released? Apps update and change their layouts even when they were fully functional. Useful features are inexplicably removed. The removal of the headphone jack from phones was ridiculous. While camera hardware has improved, the reliance on software has become excessive. I want to see the photograph I captured, not the edited version that Google or Apple think is better. There should be a one-touch feature to view the raw image. Windows 11 is frustrating. When you right-click for a context menu, many options are missing. You have to click More Options to access the Windows 10 context menu, which has far more choices. All the settings are now split into multiple locations. I don't use Mac much, but I know they don't have a feature equivalent to the Windows volume mixer, which is surprising since it's so simple. Story 41. Simple medical knowledge is important. Knowing how to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation, understanding what rescue breaths are, and grasping how cardiopulmonary resuscitation works can save your life and the lives of others. Story 42. With world politics today, I will state the truth, or at least encourage some critical discernment of the sources and motives behind what people are hearing and reading. Story 43. People often find numerous reasons not to care about others. Caring for one another is what keeps us functioning. It is how we have progressed as a species. Conversely, a lack of care leads to our own destruction. Story 44. I wish more people cared about the little things that make up the big picture. It is easy to get caught up in the rush of life, but we miss so much in between. Being present when someone needs a moment of kindness or taking the time to listen when silence says more than words are important. The world would feel a lot less overwhelming if we all slowed down just a little and noticed what is around us. Whether it is a stranger's smile or the way the sky looks at dusk. It is these moments, the small unspoken connections, that remind us we are all in this together. Story 45. Children, I work in education, so I see and hear about the neglect these poor kids go through. I come from a broken home myself and am upset to find that broken homes, narcissistic parents, and abuse are far more common than people think. Racism, for obvious reasons. The reverse Robin Hood is steering countries into economic turmoil. I wish regular people would stop supporting billionaires who do not care about us. Story 46. Being loyal means being ready to support your friends. Stand up for them and for anyone you see as being unjustly criticized. Essentially, be the good person every chance you get. Story 47. Climate change is a critical issue, and it is essential for governments and wealthy individuals to recognize their responsibility in addressing it. The average person can make small changes, such as replacing plastic straws with paper ones, but substantial action is needed from those in power to have a real chance at saving our planet. While individuals make these minor adjustments, leaders might be preoccupied with conflicts or pursuing space exploration. Story 48. Nobody cares that we are destroying nature. Recycling your trash does little to eradicate the damage we do every day to this planet. The effects of global warming are becoming increasingly apparent. Soon it will be too late. Story 49. Teaching kids financial literacy is essential. My parents never taught me about credit scores or investing, so I had to learn everything the hard way in my 20s. I spent 3 years fixing my credit after maxing out credit cards that I didn't understand. Story 50. Critical thinking is essential in a society where it has become challenging to discern what is true. It enables you to separate the valuable information from the irrelevant. Story 51. I have a few requests. 1. Personal space in queues. Please refrain from smoking in parks. I came out for fresh air, not your version of it. Politeness, kindness, and basic courtesy are important. And lastly, please use headphones. I do not want to hear your voice notes, phone conversations, or what you are watching. Story 52. Littering in public areas, such as town centers, pedestrianized zones, and high streets, creates a generally messy and neglected environment. It is disheartening and uninviting. It appears that no one is concerned about people leaving food and drink leftovers, which get walked in, or the litter blowing around everywhere. Story 53. The effects their actions can have on others are significant. Not just major issues like stealing or causing physical harm, but also small things like not taking up 2 parking spots or playing loud music through Bluetooth speakers in public. People need to realize we are sharing the world and at least make an effort to be respectful. There will always be disagreements, but some things should be clearly understood as improper behavior. Story 54. Autism is just another way of thinking. Just because it is not typical does not mean it is a disability that gives everyone the right to treat you like a toddler. Story 55. I wish people cared more about the feelings of others and would pause for a moment to think before doing something that could hurt. Story 56. Being banned for 3 days for commenting on this thread about littering. My original comment expressed my wish that more action was taken against littering. Why would my concern for the environment trigger a 3-day ban? I have no idea. Story 57. This is our only life. The last time you will ever experience this life until you inevitably pass away. Story 58. Climate change, wealth inequality, homelessness, ageism, transgender rights, disability equity, domestic and family violence, animal exploitation, respect, compassion, empathy, kindness, education, science, and genocide. Story 59. Life is important to every organism, and we should not needlessly take it away. Story 60. Mental health and mental illness. People are quick to judge those with mental health issues, often labeling them as crazy, without realizing that the individual may have experienced trauma or a medically induced mental illness, which is quite common. Showing others you care about them, despite their challenges, can be more effective than simply telling them to seek help or take medication. We all desire a community where we feel accepted, regardless of how distant we may seem. Story 61. Manners. Loud or open chewing, water gulping or slurping, children screaming, cars playing loud music at night, people turning around or backing up without looking, individuals using Bluetooth devices and yelling on speakerphone, last-minute cancelers, not treating staff as human beings, in restaurants, car washes, or by employers, burping and farting without trying to cover or hide it. Story 62. Our environment. Knowing all we do about plastics, why is everything made of or wrapped in plastic? The individual potatoes shrink-wrapped in plastic almost sent me over the edge recently. Our clothes, polyester and nylon, are plastic. Plant and protein-based fibers are a dream. Wool is a wonderful fiber and vastly underrated. It is 100% biodegradable, and nice merino wool is as soft as butter on the skin. It is breathable, antimicrobial, water-resistant, and fire-resistant. Wool has been used for thousands, if not millions, of years. There is a reason. Cotton, bamboo, and linen are all environmentally friendly alternatives in warmer climates. Do better, feel better. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.